Hello and welcome to another episode of Four Times in a Podcast. It's our second episode of the week. It is the 31st of March as we record, and as promised in the last episode, we're going to go through some of your questions that you have sent in via Twitter and Instagram and everywhere else regarding what our thoughts are on the game on Sunday, because I know that myself, Andy and Danny spoke at some length on Monday's episode about our thoughts on it, so we just were interested to see what you wanted to ask us. So we've got plenty here, but glad to say that Tony has joined us for this episode. I know everybody would have surely been missing him on Monday. Before we get into the questions, Tony, I'll just get your thoughts, because obviously we've gave you a preview. What's your thoughts going into this game on Sunday?
Excited. It's a massive game. I think that's an understatement. I think most people are of the opinion that if Celtic won, then they will win the league title, and we go in a very strong position, a position that nobody thought we would be in 12 months ago, even 4 or 5 months ago. I don't think people seen this coming. So to be going to Ibrox 3 points clear with a superior goal difference of I think 14 gives us a great opportunity. I'm sure the way they'll look at it is they need to win. We don't. If it's a draw, definitely not a bad result. The fact that we'll play more games at home going forward, and they'll have a few more tricky aways hopefully, and they still need to come to us. But we know the manager doesn't change. He won't change for this game. He'll go out to win, and I think that's the right thing to do. They'll obviously have the crowd advantage earlier on. They'll be bouncing, they'll be up for it, they'll try and get the early goal. But as much as I think they'll come flying at the traps, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't as well, and just try and press them from the off. And for every mistake they make, the crowd will get on their back, and for every minute that passes where it's 0-0, or if we can get the first goal, the pressure on them mounts. So it's just a case of us playing our game. Our last performance was tremendous. The manager's going to have a lot of selection headaches. We've argued back and forth all week about who we would play, and I'm still kind of not fully decided, but it was up to me. But it's good that we've got options. We've got players that can come on off the bench and make a difference. But no, I feel as though Postecoglou's ticked off so many things this season. Beat Hibs away Easter Road in the league. He got us back to winning trophies again. He managed to beat Rangers after 2.5 years we've beaten them. We beat Livy away. This feels like a really big significant one. Can he go to Ibrox and get a win? A lot of great Celtic managers have managed it in the past. Brendan Rodgers, I think he won 4 out of 5 there. Neil Lennon had a couple of great victories there, Anil, etc. So I think he'll be looking to join the club or going to Ibrox and getting a win. I don't think they've lost at Ibrox since I think maybe the 9-0 season.
It's no lost at Ibrox in the league since Hamilton Accies beat them.
I thought that was the game, the 1-0 game. I think we drew 2 each with Livy that night. So they're due a defeat at Ibrox, and who's a better team in the league to beat them than us? So I'm looking forward to it. I'm not really nervous as such. I think it's just the fact that we will be top of the league on Monday. That's inevitable, and then we play first next weekend as well. Hopefully we can go 9 clear against St Johnstone, but even if we lose, we can go 3 clear before they need to go and play St Mirren, which isn't an easy game for anybody, especially the fact they need to play the European games in between. So I'm looking forward to it. I think Maida's going to be crucial. I would play Maida and I would drop Abada. That's the change I would make. I think his pressing is going to be so important. I think getting in behind could peg back Tavernier, who's a big danger. For me, it would be Hart, Juranovic, Starfelt, Vickers, Taylor, McGregor, Hatate, O'Reilly, Chekamakis, Jota and Maida. And then I hope to see Kyogo on the bench with the likes of Abada, Turnbull, Rogic hopefully coming back into it, Ralston, even Iraguchi and Beaton. And if we need to shore it up or if we need to attack, etc., we can call in these players. So we're in a good position. I think if we don't win, or if we get beat, I think there'll be a massive overreaction, whatever we usually is with these games. I think there's still a long way to go, but if we can win on Sunday, we'll be in a ridiculously strong position, and you would think we could clinch a title for there. But I see on Twitter people are kind of back and forth and the nerves kicked in, and one thing that kind of relaxes me is the canvas man in Glasgow with Postecoglou. I can't imagine he's feeling any real pressure. He seems a very collected man. I've seen they released the season ticket renewal video the day, and it was a speech for the cup final, and it was very well spoken as he usually does. He gives team talks. I've listened to one before. I don't know if it was his time in Japan or Australia, and that was a catalyst for the League Cup final win. So I think we'll win. I do think we can go and win. I just think if we press them, if we get the first goal, we need to get the first goal, and I think their crowd will turn. So I'll go for 2-0 Celtic, and I think Maida and Jota will get the goals.
I'd give you a prediction on Monday's episode. See, just on something you said there about the first goal, I don't know if it's just because of the game, but I really, really don't want to lose the first goal. Obviously, don't want to lose any goals to him, but I was listening to Gig Pod with Stevie and Spunkphone last night, and they were talking about how they believe this team would come back from like, a sort of a setback, like going a goal behind or so. But I know we've had a load of late goals in the game. If you get full confidence, we could. I don't know if I can't think off the top of my head if we came, apart from maybe Dundee game recently, if we came from behind to win.
Well, Hibs was a big game we came down from behind, the cup final. It's probably as pressurised as it gets, and the way we came back was excellent. We scored straight for kick-off, so I get your point. I don't know if there's been many. Dundee, we get set back twice with the equaliser and them going ahead and still managed to dig it out. Don't get me wrong, if we go behind, it's going to raise their crowd. Their crowd will erupt as a case in these games, so but it's just about remaining calm. If we go behind, of course, the team was capable of scoring. Even the last time at Ibrox, I think Kyogo went through twice. Edward missed a good chance, so we were quite unlucky not to actually get back into that game. So hopefully we don't go behind though. That's my hope, is we get the first goal, and then I would love that at some point in the game, if it's a draw or we're winning, we can bring Kyogo on. I think that could be a massive moment in the season.
Oh, aye, hopefully he's involved in some capacity. But it's been great to see him back on the training field. But I think that having him just even there will really boost us. And as we know, whatever happens on Sunday, the title race will still have a few twists and turns, no doubt. So having him back would be absolutely massive for us. I'll just get into some of the questions now because there's been quite a lot. So first one, right, you were just speaking about the Ibrox crowd there. Jodie on Instagram has asked Tony, do you think that having Celtic fans at Ibrox will affect the Rangers' performance in any way? She's asked, but do you think it'll have any effect on Celtic performance? I know it was a sort of controversial subject whether Celtic should take the 700 tickets or not. And the thing is, I know home advantage has been pretty high in terms of since the reduced allocation, but I think the last time Celtic went with 700 fans was the Johnny Hayes game.
I think it'll give the tour players a lift. I think when they see that 700 and they know that's your, well, I know a lot will be corporate, but no doubt you'll have your diehards, your people who go everywhere to follow them. I think it'll give them a small boost. The chat, I mean, we need to be about 2 or 3 and up for us to hear them, I think, but I think the players will be glad to see a section of our fans there, however small. The ticket thing's a farce. We've known that for ages, and there's no delay we can do about that. That's just Rangers weren't happy with us partying every time we beat them, and then they cut the allocation. But you would like to see some kind of resolution, even if it's like 3,500 each. But no, it's a contentious issue, but I don't think it will affect the Rangers players. I think the Ibrox crowd could negatively affect them more than anything if we can get the first goal, if we can put them under real pressure. But I think our players will be quite happy to see our fans.
I think that as well. It's just daft things. I remember watching in the August game, and just it's one of the daft things. I just want the players to have Celtic fans to run towards when they score and celebrate. So I think hopefully they sort something with the allocations, but don't know how likely that is. We'll move on to the next question. Your friend and mine, Connor, he has asked, does Celtic have more to fear from Kemar Roofe playing rather than Alfredo Morelos? No, I'll ask that because that's a bit more a new thing to actually pose the question to us, because it does look like he's on crutches and there's photos coming out Daily Record saying he's a major doubt for it. But what's your thoughts on that? Would Roofe cause us more problems? And just to Connor, did you not watch the game in February because he was fucking shite then?
I think Morelos is a danger, I must admit. I mean, I know there was that kind of patter for so long. I mean, his record against us is atrocious, and he should have scored. But most games he played against us, I think I seen a compilation not long ago. But as much as the misses are funny, he is always in the right place. He's a strong player. I would be happy to see Roofe play, but I think Roofe scored against us last season as well. But I know he didn't do much in the February game, but you would think that Morelos would be a bigger danger man. He's stronger, I think, and I would worry about him up against Starfelt potentially. But I think Connor seems to think Roofe's a better player, I think, but I think Morelos is a kind of big game player, and he's got over that hurdle of not scoring against us. He got 2 last season, so if Morelos does the player, I think that would suit us.
I think just like you spoke about his goal record, but I just think even in terms of what he brings to the Rangers team in general, I think that would be massively advantaged if he is missing, and hopefully it is. He may well turn up on Sunday in the starting lineup, but hopefully he is out because I think it would benefit us. Next question, we have got Kev McGurk on Twitter, who said, we don't want to be too pessimistic, but he said and it's a big if we were to get beat on Sunday at such a crucial point in the season, do you think the momentum could swing Rangers' way, or do you think that the team's shown enough to be confident that even if they do suffer a setback on Sunday, that they could dust themselves down and just still grind out the title?
He would like to think they could deal with defeat at Ibrox. I mean, there's no shame in losing at Ibrox. Well, it's obviously something you want to avoid, but they are the current champions, and they were expected to cakewalk this league. If you're losing Sunday, I mean, it would depend on the margin. If you get a doing, then it can affect your confidence, but if you narrowly lose or whatever, then I mean, even if it was, look at them, they could beat 3-0 off us and think the next week they beat Borussia Dortmund. So, no, I don't think so. I think, as I say, the manager's very calm. I think he would get the players back down to earth, and I think the fans would need to stay calm. And then, as I say, you can put more pressure on the week after when you play St Johnstone at home first, who are one of the bottom sides, and hopefully win, and then they need to go away and get a result, and they still need to come to Parkhead. So, no, this was a team that was 6 points behind and under immense pressure for such a long period just to hang on to coattails. So, if it turns out they lose and they're only top of the league in goal difference, I don't see head stopping. I might be wrong, but I don't see it myself. I don't know about you.
I don't know. I think it could be slightly different in terms of how close we are to the end of the season, in terms of how much an effect that would have. As you mentioned, after we skidded them, they seem to have went on a decent run, especially in Europe. I know they've dropped points like some Motherwell and that, but I do think that momentum is pretty key at this point of the season. But I wouldn't be that worried, because, as you say, I think Ange would just look at it as that's just another game. We're still, unless something fucking absolutely horrific happens, we'll still be top of the league on Sunday. And the thing is, if we do go out and compete, we've still got them at Celtic Park. You've got that chance to put it right, and I'd like to think that the players could do that. For me, it could have an effect in terms of giving Rangers a lot more confidence, but I don't think it would have a massively detrimental effect on Celtic, because I still think that we were never expected to win this league this year, and it was a rebuild, and we've came so far, and you mentioned at the top of the show, we're in a position that didn't look possible 12 months ago. So I'd like to think that it wouldn't sort of make or break us, and you can't let it, because you've got 2 more games against them coming up in the next month after you play them on Sunday. But we will go for Andy Angus on Twitter, good friend of the pod. He has asked, do you think that how passive they were at Celtic Park, do you think that'll have possibly a positive effect on Celtic, as in front of the home fans they may have to try and avenge that and come out flying to take Celtic on, and Celtic could exploit that?
Absolutely. Any team that flies out and attacks us, we've always got the chance of getting in behind. We've got good passers of the ball, like McGregor. I know he's been off it, but he can pass the ball. And O'Reilly made us get the pace. Jota's got a lot of pace, and Giacomakis, or if it's maybe different and maybe Maida plays through the middle, we have got a lot of pace. So I think they will come out the traps. That's just the way of the home team, especially now with such a large home advantage. I just don't see us trying to weather a storm. I think we're going to come out and meet them halfway and go toe-to-toe and try and press them. So, but I agree with what Andy says. Andy's going to be work cut out with him with all the podcasts that are fighting each other. I've been telling him he needs to get another World Cup set up just so we can win it. But I could play to your advantage. So good way of saying this. You need to see how the game actually starts.
That's true. I completely agree with that. I think if anybody comes out to try and attack Celtic, I can't really see it happening. I don't think that they would be daft, but I don't think they're that daft that they would come out and just sort of go gung-ho. As you say, their crowd will want them to, but you don't always need to come out flying to get them on side. It could be like a tackle or something. Like, it's often be things like that. Like, I even think back to like victories at Ibrox, and like even the one where Edward just launched the ball into the corner from kickoff. It just sort of set the tone. Those wee things like that you can sort of get the marker down early. But just give you one or two more, Tony, before I let you go, because I know you're a busy man. Pals at GigPod, they have asked who out of the 4 teams is going to be in the worst nick if we do win on Sunday. I know a lot of listeners may expect it to be you with Moretti, but what's your plans for Sunday? I believe you've got a pretty busy day ahead of you. How's your derby day going to look?
Sober. I'm in Dalkeith. Some company are running a Rebel event, and it looks good, so I've decided I'm going to go to that in the Biclaic in Dalkeith. So I'm going to be sober, unfortunately. Now that event finishes at 11 o'clock. Am I going to have a drink? Don't know. We'll see. It depends how it goes. But no, busy weekend ahead, and I'm looking forward to it. You just want the game to start. I've played it in my mind quite a few times. I dreamt about it. I had a dream we went 1-0 down in 10 minutes, and then they got a penalty 6 seconds later, and then it was 2 each right after half time. We scored 2 quick goals, and then I woke up. So it wouldn't surprise me if it's high scoring.
How the fuck would that even be possible? That they would get a penalty 6 seconds later? Somebody would have to fucking charge through and get brought down in a box.
That's a dream, innit? It's a lot of shite. Mind you wouldn't be surprised if the refs just started giving them penalties when the ball was in play.
Nobody's asked, but would he make it? I was going to say, would he make it? Willie Collum getting the gig?
See, he's not biased. He's just shite. He's just a bad referee, isn't he? I mean, I've said it before. I think the only one that's actually really genuinely biased is John Beaton. But I think Willie Collum, I don't think he's a Rangers fan or a Celtic fan. I think he's just completely incompetent, and along with all the refs in Scotland. So hopefully he doesn't become an issue, and we can win the game and make an arse himself. So I'm looking forward to it, and I I would say that Danny will be in the worst state if he beat them on Sunday. That would be my prediction for Gig Pod's question.
Aye, I'll ask they too when they come on just to see what they think. But hopefully we have that conversation to be had if we do get the win, then we can just rip the arse at it. But final one for you, Tony, before you go, your favourite Celtic memory at Ibrox. It could be one you were at, or just one you've watched, just your favourite memory of the Celts at Ibrox.
Oh, the best ever by far was 2018 3-2. I was at it. Edward scored the winner, the game that made them cut the allocation. Brilliant day. I went to both the games at Ibrox that year. We won 2-0 and then we won 3-2. And I remember going there, I think I had money on us and just expecting us to ragdoll them. And so when I scored about 2 minutes in, and then Rogic scored and I think he broke somebody's ankles at David Bates in the process. They scored again, and then when it went 2-8, the thing was, if Simonovic doesn't get sent off, that would have been another 4-5-2. I'll never forget, it was a famous picture when the red card came off. It was like video footage of Murray just kind of spurring his steam on, whereas Rodgers was, I think he was giving really tactical instructions to Scott Brown. He brought Edward on and had two strikers on. The goal was scored just exquisite. I think in Cham into McGregor into Dembele, who plays a stunning pass, and then Edward gets it in. So that would be easily my best memory of Ibrox. But there's been loads of great games, like Samaras Sunday. I made watching that was unbelievable. The Johnny Hayes game was just funny that he scored at Ibrox. I remember that day as well. It was brilliant when we were on. That was the start of the 9-0 season. There's been a lot of good memories there as well. So hopefully if we win on Sunday, it might top the lot.
Hopefully it will. But Tony, I will let you go and I will bring Andy and Danny in and we'll get the rest of the question in. But we'll speak to you on Monday, or who knows, if we do win, we might be out for days, so it might be next Thursday by the time the reviews it. But cheers, Tony.
Cheers, Dan.
Right, and just like I said, I have Andy and Danny with me now, and I know as you're listening, this will just have been a split setting, but we did actually record with Tony earlier, so a wee bit of time's passed. But now we're going to go through the rest of the questions with Andy and Danny. Probably catch up on some of the ones I've already went through with Tony, just because questions have been good. So the one we finished with Tony there, Danny, was what is your favourite memory of Celtic at Ibrox? It could be a game you were at, just your general favourite memory of watching Celtic at Ibrox on the telly or in the pub or whatever. What's your favourite memory of the Celts at Ibrox?
There's a few, but I'd need to go for my one and only trip to Ibrox, which was 4 days before my 18th birthday. We beat them 2-0. Samaras Sundays, it was known, and that was just a great day out. I remember getting a ticket no long before the game. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 days before the game. Somebody, a very good friend of mine, got me a ticket, and I remember being so buzzing I'd never been, and was so buzzing to go. I always felt like you were kind of representing Celtic going to any time you go to a game, but going to Ibrox especially. And I met Hoff on Twitter, I think, that day at a game, and best thing about it was getting up with all the boys in the bus. And I remember thinking we were going to get beat because Rangers were quite confident getting into that game, and our big hope was that Freddie Ljungberg would start and cause Rangers trouble. And then the team got read out just as we were getting to Ibrox, and Paddy McCourt was playing in behind Samaras, and everybody was like, "Oh, I don't know about that." I think Charlie Mulgrew started in the left wing that day, James Forrest in the right, Kyle and Ledley in the middle. I think at back, just go through the team, I think at back four was Izagiri, Rogne, Nestorovic, Mark Wilson, might be wrong about that, and Foster was a keeper. And because Ki Sung-young and Chad Dury were away to the Asian Cup, so there was a lot of players missing and Hunter's injuries. Brian Brown gets sent off against Motherwell a couple of days before it. But just remember being quite pessimistic going to that game, and then separating for. I remember walking up you walk past there, I don't know what they call it, a social club. And there's just like one thin line of police officers between you and them, and the whole Ted, he's just shouting daft abuse at each other. I remember my mate stabbing me, and I thought he was going to be responsible, and he was the man leading the shouts. And then splitting up for them to go in the game and being all kind of like, oh, you're on your own now kind of thing, and then sitting down, standing at my seat, and I got a tap in the shoulder, and there was two boys for Bruce Hill that were behind me, which made it brilliant. And then still remember thinking we're going to get beaten. I think they hit the bar after about 3 minutes. I think McCulloch, he did one after the grun that went onto the bar, and then we kind of held the storm a bit. And I always remember, I'm sure it was Kyle planting McCulloch in the middle of the park. I think Kyle dummied the ball. Celtic were attacking, and I think it was like Mulgrew or something kind of played a ball along the ground and Kyle kind of dummied it, but as he dummied it, he kind of stood his ground and just took Lee McCulloch right out the game, and it kind of after that Celtic kind of started playing a bit, and then the second half you've got two of the Tavares goals, so just unbelievable, and it was just a great day out. I remember being 2-0 up with about 20 minutes to go, thinking, God, we're actually going to beat them here, and then obviously turning 18 a couple of days later, it was just a good time to be me, and that for some reason there's been great memories. Don't get me wrong, there's been great memories such as the under Rodgers. God, you were beating them every time you went there, and that's how there's no fans anywhere. And I know what game Tony would have picked, but for me it's that one. Just being there, it meant an awful lot to me, and it was really kind of me and my mate had just lost his gran a couple of days before it, and I remember me and him just hugging each other on the bus after the game, and it was quite emotional. So for that, a lot of factors, but for beating them, and I've got a 100% record at Ibrox, so for that I'd need to pick that day.
Aye, that was a great day, and you'll be pleased to know you're absolutely spot on about what one Tony picked. I knew he was going to say before I asked him as well. Andy, what about you? What's your favourite memory of the Celts at Ibrox?
I mean, I was probably, to be honest, I was probably going to go with Sammy Sunday, and I mean, for everything that obviously Danny mentions, it was just such. When you look at that team, you fucking shudder at that lineup the now, thinking about it at times, especially that back line. Put fear into you, but I don't know. I'll try and go with something a bit different. I mean, there's been a few big memories. I remember Scott McDonald. Was it the volley he scored? I don't know why it all sticks in my head about the joke. I can't mind what it was. Danny will remember. He'd get a mind for things like this about McDonald's a whopper at Ibrox or something. That always sticks in my head. But one,
and he got a 7-up for the drinkers up.
I don't know why it always sticks in my head. I think that joke will just stick with me until I die. But another one was actually Seawood, and I'm trying to remember what year it was now. Maybe it must have been 2016. Aye. Mine gone now. It was a couple of days after Christmas. Maybe probably the New Year's Eve game it would have been then. And obviously we got to the game, and it was that way. They were obviously sort of fresh. I think McWabbin would have still been their manager at the time. We'd beat them 1-0 in the League Cup, if I'm remembering rightly. I think Dembele scored, and then we were to go to Ibrox no long after. That was the following game. And obviously we were under Rodgers at that time. We were playing some good stuff, but you know what it's like getting into these games. Obviously we've had our doings in them, but they're often and not tense affairs. And it was just after Christmas, you always like that feel good sort of factor going on, and right in there, and obviously they go 1-0 up. Kenny Miller scores, and you start fucking fearing the worst. But don't know why the game always sticks to me. It was Dembele scored that volley for a corner, brought it down and rifled. See that just the sound of it hitting the roof of the net, the whole way in just went tonto. That noise alone probably fucking put them off of having us back here. And then it was Sinclair in the back post. We just had sort of standard Scott Sinclair as he scored so many, and that sticks with me just for how fucking ballistic it was in that away end after that goes in. That one will always sort of stick in there. I think there's something sweet about, because for the duration of that game they were leading. Not for long. Granted, it was probably about 20 minutes, but just that way where they thought this was maybe their wee turning point, or this was the hope, and then to score sort of Dembele gets equaliser, and then you go and wee bit of back and forth. We dominated the bulk of the ball and had the better chances, but there's always that chance of them scoring, and then Sinclair just to come in at the back and tap it in, just to really crush their dreams, and then the place emptied. And then it was just on to party mode. It was sometimes it's a wee bit sweeter for me just seeing them get their hopes up during the game a wee bit and then take it away a bit. I'll probably go with that one just for the atmosphere that day and what it meant, especially after obviously putting them out in a semi, and I'm sure that was a semi the game before, if I remember rightly, and then just to go there and do that, and it really did sort of cement the Rodgers years, because I'm sure barring it would have been 2012 before we were 2011 before we were there before that, so that was that one for me really sticks out other than Sammy Sunday.
Aye, some great shouts. I love what you're speaking about there, Andy. It's like, see, as much as the whole allocation thing's an absolute joke, right? Of course, we all know that. But one of the things that I hate it not being the way it used to be is because it's see when Celtic score up that other end, it's the sort of delay in the Broomloan celebrating. I love that noise, like you spoke about it with Dembele. You hear the ball hit a net, and then there's a roll up. Chris Commons' first goal for Celtic against Rangers at Ibrox. It's the same with that one. There's just it's just one of the things I always love. But I'm going to go back a bit further for mine. It's one of I think I was about 14 at the time when this game was, and ultimately the season ended in failure. But it was April 2005, and it was the game that Craig Bellamy played against Rangers at Ibrox, and we won 2-1 that day. Stan Petrov scored a header and then get pelted with a cup of coke for celebrating in the corner, and then Bellamy scored one of the greatest moments that I've ever seen against Rangers. Just the way they took the ball from about the halfway line and then curled it, and it's right up there with one of my favourite ever Celtic goals. And look, we should have won the league that year. I think that put us 5 points we went ahead after we won that day, and we still somehow lost the league, which was terrible. And as much as that was one of my best memories, like the end of that season was one of my worst. So just that Bellamy goal and just that game in general, I loved it just because it looked like we had retained our title, but unfortunately we didn't. But hopefully we go and win this Sunday and effectively put one hand on the trophy again. But as I've just mentioned with that Bellamy game, it's not always as simple as that, so there's going to be twists and turns. Danny, I'll come back to you. It's Teagsy from Twitter, just wants to know your front three. Everybody's debate seems to be about whether it's going to be Jota, Giakoumakis and Abada, or Maeda, Giakoumakis and Jota. Who would you go for? Teagsy is saying that she would go for Maeda just for his pace especially.
Well, Dixie's in my front three, she knows that. No, I would go with the same front three played Ross County, Jota, Maeda and Giakoumakis. I think we said it on the other podcast that earlier in the week that I think Giakoumakis just gives us a physical presence that we need against them that's helped us really cement them. You know, it's difficult. We had to beat them in 2 years, nearly over 2 years. So Giakoumakis gave us that base to go and take the game to them, and I think he's going to be essential on Sunday. Jota, I think, had an excellent game against Ross County. He started to look more like himself before he got injured, and I think Maeda just deserves to play. His form's been really good the last couple of weeks, and also him and Giakoumakis are seeming to start to click up front together, and I think it's an awful risk. Now, don't get me wrong, I mean, it was only about a month ago we're talking about Abada, we play the year, and I mean, Abada's a fantastic player, and you know me, darling, you know I'm a massive fan of Abada, but I just think at this time, Wick gives us the best chance to go there and get a win, and I think it's Maeda, Giakoumakis and Jota, and I just think the three of them, the way they've been playing recently, that Ross County game gave me a lot of hope. And I just think Giakoumakis is essential. I just think we'd be giving them an awful lot of impetus if Giakoumakis isn't in that team on Sunday.
I think a friend of the pod, David Ness, who's always a great supporter of us, he's asked Andy just on Giakoumakis, as Danny's speaking about him, can you see another Giakoumakis hat-trick coming? And just in general, how important do you think he'll be on Sunday?
I fucking hope so. I've got to agree with Danny, and I mean, I'm always a big believer in player-informed players. He's scoring goals. That's what you want in a striker today. But he's also playing well at times. He's like Danny mentions. He gives us a sort of different dynamic at times, and he can play players in, and he's a bit more physical. Again, Maeda's shown that he's versatile. He's played through the middle, but he can come out wide, and while he's great going forward as well, he really does. He knows how to sort of play that Ange press, that exactly what he wants for his wide men, and that'll be pivotal at times, because there is times in games like that where you're going to sort of be after the ball. But I think it only benefits Giakoumakis as well, because Maeda's obviously, there's a few times he's gave him assists this season, or he's get wide and try to get the ball into the box for him. Jota, another one, creative, will try and give the chances, because he's, as we've seen for that striker, he's deadly in that sort of 6-yard box. He'll give you that instinct, that one-touch finish. He just needs a chance, and I feel like the players really will try and create that for him. And sometimes that's all you get, that snapshot in a game like this. As a striker, you're maybe not as blessed with as many chances and things like that as you'd get against other teams in the league. But I think he could play a massive part. Like we've said, there was a lot of doubters earlier on in the season. There was sort of missed penalties, maybe suffered a wee bit for, again, injuries, and then confidence comes into it, and then he came back and he was unlucky again with an injury. And now you've started to see him play more and get the goals, get the confidence up, get a run of games, get time in the legs. I don't even think he had a pre-season as far as I was aware. So he was obviously playing catch up, and now you're really starting to see the player that you could believe was a top goal scorer in Holland. And you're seeing that coming out, and he's only really going to improve. And I think in a game like this, I feel like he's announced himself in just about every half stage for us. So you're not going to get a bigger man now as a Celtic player to go to Ibrox and do it. So I believe he'll play a massive part in that game. And I do think that give him the chance and he'll beat it.
I certainly hope so. One of the questions that I spoke to Tony about earlier was from our pals at GigPod, Danny, and they wanted to know which of the 4 teams will be in the worst nick if we win on Sunday, and just in general, what's your plans for Sunday?
I don't think it will be me. I don't know my plans yet, because I'm going to Italy on Tuesday for a wedding, and I don't want to catch COVID. So I'm trying to kind of stay sensible, but we'll see what happens. I think Andy will be in the worst nick because I know for a fact he'll probably be out Friday night, he'll probably be out Saturday night. So I think, and Tony, I think will be quite sensible because he's on business this weekend, and I think you're pretty sensible, Dan. So Andy will 100% be in the worst nick come Monday morning, but I hope, like the rest is, he's got a big stupid smile on his face.
Hopefully. I don't know, I'm off work for 2 weeks, so I might just get on it. And Tony actually went for you, Danny, so he must know knew that your Italy trip was so quick, so close to the game. But I don't know, who knows, we might just all let loose if we do get the victory on Sunday. Andy, Danny's built you up there. What's your plans for Sunday?
Nothing, staying in, quiet weekend. No, I'm not actually sure yet, to be fair. I was hoping a sponsor or something would come through with a 4 times ticket for the game, but sadly that's not happened. No, I don't know. It just when he was talking about that video.
Juddy got the last ticket, mate.
See, it just put me in mind what's quite funny. He was saying out Friday, Saturday. Strangely, the game I was talking about, I done exactly that, and I had the worst hangover at that 2-1 game. And again, friend of the show, Mick Maguire, met me for a half-time piss when I was in the toilet and spewing my guts up at one point during that game. It just put me in mind of that. But I'll no doubt be hopefully a big smile on my face and a reason to be drinking, as opposed to hopefully a happy reason, as opposed to, like you say, drowning any sorrows. But I'm confident, and don't know, Dan, like you say, maybe we'll get a surprise.
I don't know. As I said to Tony, I hope we're in a position where we have to have that conversation because we're all celebrating a win. I don't know, just 1 or 2 more and then we'll wrap this up. But Danny, one that I posed to Tony again earlier was it's sort of been breaking news today that it looks like Alfredo Morelos might actually be out. A Sunday's game, friend of the show Connor had asked, do we have more to fear if Kemar Roofe plays?
I don't want to say no or aye because Roofe might score, but he looked very, very poor in the game in February. And I still think Morelos will play. I think they're at it, but it's just me giving them absolutely no credit. So I don't know is the answer. I would say no. I think Morelos is a huge miss for him. I think, I know he's not got the best scoring record against us, but he does give them a physicality, the same sort of physicality that Jackie Marcus will give us. So I think Morelos is a massive miss for him. I don't think Roofe offers as much. Now, Roofe might go and score the winner, but I don't think he offers as much as Morelos does to their team. I think he seems to be more like an impact sub that comes off the bench and scores. But no, I wouldn't. If he's, tell you right now, this could come back to haunt me, but if he's in the team, and I would say it anyway, if he's in the team on Sunday, Morelos isn't, I'll be more confident than I would with Morelos is in the team.
I agree with that. pretty much said words to the same effect. I think that Morelos, although he's scoring record against us, is pretty good. I think what he brings to the Rangers team would be something that we would extremely benefit from if he is missing. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on. I know it has been quite a busy day for news. I know this is just a Q&A episode, but obviously we've had the season tickets out, we've had the Morelos news, and obviously our friendly against our great rivals across the city has been cancelled as well, so it's been quite a day. Just Andy, I'll just come to you. It's a question from Ryan Spencer, who I believe is one of Danny's pals. It's just how do you see the front three going? I know there's been a lot of talk about Abada. He asked, does he drop Maeda and play Abada and Jota? Like, I think it's tricky because with Abada, he didn't really drop out the team because of a lack of form. I think he's not started since he had that illness before the Dundee United Cup game. But as Danny said, we were really talking Abada up for like the last few weeks in terms of player of the year and that. So if he has been performing at that standard as we've been saying, then would you be surprised if Abada was brought back in?
No, I mean, listen, I think there's certainly a case to be made. I think there's a case to be made for a lot of players. I reckon that it's, for me, the thing is, but like, especially in football, and I mean, we've seen it countless times. We were talking earlier on, I was talking about Dembele and players taking chances, Giakoumakis now, and even Maeda. I think that sometimes how a chance comes by a player might be unfortunate circumstances for somebody else. Like you say, Abada had an illness, and you've seen a frontline sort of form, if you like. Obviously, there's been changes here and there, and Forrest came in at one point, and Jota was out. But I think the sort of front three of Maeda, Giakoumakis, and Jota is sort of forming due to circumstance and due to, like I say, players took opportunities when they came along. And for me, a big thing is that if that happens, it's the players he's earned. They three have sort of earned a right for me to play that game and to start that game. And I think it'd be very harsh to turn around and say, right, we're going to drop you now. Because really, Giakoumakis, what more could he do? He's fucked in 2 hat-tricks and a double against United. And then Maeda, again, a guy who's done everything that's asked of him. 1 minute he's up front, next minute he's out wide. Working his fucking arse off, doing absolutely everything that he can to improve the team, and he's chipping in with goals. And then Jota's obviously took a wee wobbling form by his standards a good couple of weeks back now, and then picked it up again, looked brilliant against Ross County. So for me, they're the form three, and even this is a point when we were talking about Kyogo, it felt like, listen, I know how good he is, and I think he's a massive, massive player for us, but he's not been playing the form players of. It's not as if they've not come in and not performed. For me, I think they should start, but like I say, I think there's certainly an argument for Abada. He's been brilliant. His statistics this season speak for himself. The amount of goals and assists he's had. Again, been wee bouts where again it just looks like that because of how sort of high he set his own bar. But he's young, that will happen. But for the most part, he's been brilliant for us. So there's an argument for it to be had rather. But I think the front three will be them. But again, if Abada came in, even if Kyogo came in, it wouldn't shock me. And I wouldn't be angry about it as such. I would just feel as if the players are maybe a wee bit hard done by. But listen, I'd back whatever the manager does with the whole team, let alone the front line. And again, I think regardless, the players are going to know that whether you're on the pitch for the first minute or whether you're on the bench, you're going to have a part to play in that game. And whether it's Abada that's sitting on the bench, if it's Jota, if it's Maeda or whatever, they need to be ready, and I think they will be. I think that'll be drummed into them in the manager. I think what the team's playing that way now. We spoke about Beaton earlier, that they have a sneaky suspicion that the team might change again, similar to what we've seen in Livingston, where Beaton starts and McGregor's pushed on a wee bit, and Beaton holds, and that wouldn't surprise me either. And again, I think it's harsh on players at times to be dropping them when they're playing well and in form, but it's the manager who live and die by these decisions. But I think the team's certainly playing like a unit, playing together, and they'll be ready. They've got a part to play, whether they start on the pitch or they start on the bench.
No, I agree. I think, as you say, the front three that sort of formed, they might have been by chance, but I think they have taken the opportunity very well, and it might have just been a case of right place, right time for guys like Maeda and Giakoumakis, but I think they will start. But I think all you can trust Ange. Like, I know after the last time we went to Ibrox, he was criticised for playing Kyogo at left, and I think he even spoke about regretting doing that. But from where we were to where he's taking us now, I think he's completely earned the right to play whatever team he wants and nobody questioned over it. And I'm pretty sure everybody will be behind. I think whoever we play, I don't think people will be angry. I know there's people who are near Beaton fans, but I think Ange has been proven right in a number of occasions this season, like games like Aberdeen and Livingston and that, when he's brought Beaton in and he's played well for us. So whether it be Beaton, Turnbull, Abada, whoever, maybe even Kyogo's brought back in, like, I think you just need to trust Ange and hope that the team go out there and get the 3 points for us. That will put us in a great position. But I think we'll just wrap up there. It has been great to hear all your questions and thoughts on the game, and if you like listening to it, then let us know. We'd happily do it again, and we will speak to you at some point next week. Probably, let's be honest, it's probably dependent on the result, because if we win, we might boot for days. I know Danny's away at Italy on Tuesday, but I'm sure we'll sort something in the meantime. But thanks very much to everybody who sent a question in, or tweeted us, sent us Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. And we will speak to you next week. Cheers.
On a hoops.